So the amazing thing we just witnessed is the election of a Catholic Pope, but it's particularly amazing for two reasons. One, it's the first American Pope ever chosen, which I never thought I'd see, and this Pope picked a very special name. My name is Gary Adler. I'm an associate professor of sociology at Penn State University. It's really surprising we have an American Pope for a couple of reasons. First, there aren't a lot of American cardinals to choose from. And secondly, the US church is seen skeptically by a lot of people around the world for some sex abuse scandals that happened over the past couple decades, but also because there's a real strong minority voice in the United States that is a very conservative and divisive view of Catholicism. So the world, in some ways, has mistrusted the American Catholic Church, but this is a unique person, and I think is an example of the best sort of American. He's lived a bunch of his life abroad, which has helped him to learn about himself, and he seems to really embody some of the best attributes of what an American is. The effect that this will have on American Catholics is going to be really interesting to follow. It's not easy to all of a sudden have an upswing in Catholics attending church or infants being baptized to be Catholics. But the fact that there's an American Catholic Pope says to Americans in some way that they belong in some way that they almost never have. Like they're part of a club that seemed like a club that existed over there. But what's unique about this particular American is he brings in what Catholics call the universal church. He spent a lot of his professional life as a missionary in Peru among people that were economically vulnerable, that were migrants, that were kind of on the margins of society. And so he brings this kind of unique voice as Pope, and he reflects some of the problems and issues that the American Catholic Church has to confront. And so he's going to provide, I think, a really kind of exciting example of how Catholics can be in the United States. The name of Leo the 14th is really incredible. Leo the 13th is what I call the first modern pope. He was pope when the Vatican had lost all of its lands. He was basically imprisoned in the Vatican. And instead of retreating, instead of building walls, instead of having doubt, he started actually talking and writing in a way that tried to engage the modern world. So Leo the 13th wrote a very famous document called Rerum Novarum in Latin. It means on the rights and duties of capital and labor. He was the first pope to take seriously the development of capitalism, the reality of colonialism, and big socialist movements that were happening in the 1800s. And in that letter, he said it's the church's job to talk about these things, to listen to the modern world, and to respond to the modern world. And that one letter in 1891 set the seeds for all the transformations in the Catholic Church in the 20th century. So the fact that our new Pope took Leo the 14th, the next name after Leo 13th, tells us that he's going to be a person that dialogues very intensely with the most difficult issues facing our world today. The selection of the name Leo the 14th tells us a lot. Most importantly, it tells us that he is going to continue a tradition of Catholic popes not hunkering down, but instead going out to the world and listening to the world. It's not to tell the world that Catholics are better, but it's to listen so that Catholics can bring their unique wisdom and their unique beliefs into the most difficult situations in the modern world, like poverty, like immigration, like nationalism. He's going to be talking, I think, about these most difficult issues with a voice that is confident but also welcoming. I think our new pope is uncovering what some Catholics have called the church's best kept secret. That best kept secret is that the Catholic Church has things to say, wisdom and reflections about the most difficult parts of modern life. And this Pope, by selecting this name and being thoughtful and being engaging, is saying it's the job of the Catholic Church and of Catholics to do exactly that, to engage, to build bridges, to go out to the margins, to be transformed, and then to find common ground in those conversations.